Recording in progress.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shankwil Yah, One Vision Ministry. I'm about to minister today. My topic is called Receipts. One Nation Under Yah. Let me go ahead and pray and get started. I got a lot to I guess go over today, so it's gonna be a minute. I'm gonna be reading a lot, so hopefully those that are here with us or checking this out, you got the patience because we're gonna get at it. Abiyah, I thank you for establishing your kingdom here in the earth, your dominion, your Mashiach, your son, Yahusha. Notes in his model prayer that the goal is that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, in the Shamayim. Your will be done in the Eretz, the earth, as it is in the heavens, the Shamayim. So you established man as your image to bring forth your dominion and to reflect and represent your dominion here on earth. And as time transpired, there was some stumbling that occurred. And so that word seemed to have come back void, but you established and reestablished again your kingdom over and over again so that your will eventually does not come back void, but your will be done. I thank you for this opportunity for this message, and let it be edification to the listener as well as to me, the speaker. Hallelujah, Yada, Yahuwah. All right. I haven't touched my chauffeur in a couple of weeks, so I figured I'm gonna start off at least by blowing this, seeing that I believe myself to be a watchman, and this is a watchman message. Yada Yahuwah. All right. So let me set some foundation start off. Let's go to some foundational texts of what I want to hit. So let's go ahead and start. I'm gonna share my screen and get going. I'm gonna start off with text in Bimidbar or Numbers 23. This is foundational for where I'm going. So starting off with what's said is verse 19. It says, El is not a man to lie, nor a son of man to repent. He has said, and would he not do it? Or spoken, and would he not confirm it? So Yah is not like men. When he puts his word out there, it's not to return to him void. It's supposed to be done. Now, I'm one that's being accused of having a love for Edomites or Esau, because I have relations or kinfolks of other nations. But then I'm also in the next verse or not verse or the next spoken time of someone has a disdain for other nations. It's like, which one is it? And again, I'm not here to share this message to prove anything to anyone because this is what I believe thus says Yahuwah. Don't believe that he has placed anything out here to, I guess, trick anybody, mislead anybody. He set things in motion, not because someone is greater, superior, because it is his order, his design. Let's keep going. We'll go over here to Bimidbar, Numbers 15. And I'm going to start off with this verse 13. And it says, let all who are native where? Native to Yasharal. See, I come up in Christianity, so that was the focus. Christianity. Didn't have any ideal about the nation of Yasharal coming up. Again, when I started reading the book for myself, I see them in there, and I heard them talked about briefly, but had no connection myself with them in my comprehension when I first started. But this right here is something that stands out still. Let all who are native, so those that are Yasharel, do so with them in bringing near an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. And when a stranger sojourns, so this is when someone else is dealing with these native people. So when a stranger sojourns with you, or whoever is among you throughout your generations. Okay, right now we're living in the generations. So throughout your generations would mean that time all the way to now and to continue. That's what I read. But of course, people can say, well, this is talking about a specific time frame. But this is something that I could show you is repeated more than just once, but I'm going to just show you this time. And so whoever is among you throughout your generations and would make an offering made by sweet fire. They say, well, now we ain't making an offering with sweet fire, but just continue. A sweet fragrance to Yahuwah as you do, so he does. So if Israelites do it, the other nations that's connected to them would also have to do it. One law, one Torah is for you of the assembly and for the stranger who sojourns with you. A law forever throughout your generations. As you are, so is the stranger before Yahuwah. One Torah and one right ruling is for you and for the stranger who sojourns with you. This is major. A house divided is subject to fall. So y'all got to have the same rules, the same comprehension, the same way of life. I'm married. If me and my wife were on different ideologies and ways of thinking, we would have reason to fight all the time. It would interrupt our progress. All right. Let's go over here to a definition. In the Hebrew, there's H1285 or berith, which we would call covenant. I got this from Jeremiah 31:31, but I'm going to talk about that later. So a covenant is a treaty, league. It's a confederacy. You got two allies, or you got allies. In the sense of cutting a covenant, it's a compact because made by passing between pieces of flesh. And the key point that I want to point out is that when a covenant is set, those that are participants of the covenant are the benefactors, are the ones that benefit from the covenant. Not saying that others won't benefit from it, but the main ones, the ones that are irreplaceable in that covenant, for that covenant to continue, the participants, the actual ones who are cutting that covenant, they can't be excluded. If they're excluded, that covenant is gone. It's no more. They are the participants. Me and my wife are in a marriage. We can say that's a covenant. If one of us deceased, she can move on. If I'm deceased, I can move on if she's deceased. Yes, our children benefit, but they don't get to dictate the covenant, the agreement. They benefit from it, but they don't get to dictate it. I say that, and let's continue. Let's continue. All right. So that's basically my foundation. Let me come out of here. So that being my foundation, I want to clearly state that the covenant that the biblical narrative is talking about over and over is between Yahuwah and Israel and Yahudah. Remember, most that have read should know that Yahudah is a part of the 12 sons of a man named Yaqub, who was renamed as Yasharal, or Israel is what we've been told, but Yasharal, same. Israel and Yasharal, same. But Yahudah is one of those 12 sons. The kingdom was one whole, and it split, with Yahudah being one part and the rest claimed as Israel, but it's still in totality one kingdom. But when the covenant was made, it's made with them as Yahudah and Yasharel. It's still with the 12 tribes. It's not with a church. It's not with a religion. It's not with any other nations, just those nations. Again, covenant. Those that are participants, other people can benefit, but the main participants are who? And so let's move forward. What I want to get in talks to Israel through our lifetime, Yasharel through our history has constantly been put in servitude or bondage or slavery. So, of course, with that situation, we have a view of what slavery is. But that's the slavery of the world. Servitude with Yah is different. At a time, you could say that we were his servants. When Abraham or Abram had a relationship with Yah to begin, he called him master or Adonai. He didn't say he was a son or anything. He called him master. And even his wife Sarai called him master. At that same time frame, before Abraham and Sarah, Abram, because he became Abraham after having sons. Basically, this man was living well. Yah was taking care of him. He had servants, he had his wife, but he did not have an heir. Not having an heir, this man had a loyal servant, a loyal slave named Eliezer. Eliezer, basically his eldest servant or slave. This man didn't believe to himself, because he was up in his 90s, that he would have his own child. So he said, Eliezer is going to be my heir. Eliezer, he viewed him as his son. That man was going to give everything that he had when he left to Eliezer. He didn't talk about leaving it to Sarai, but we all know by reading that he Abraham outlives Sarah anyway. But his plan was to give everything over to his son Eliezer, this servant that he was treating as a son. Still a servant, not his bloodline, but his servant. Let's go to the text. Let's go to the text. Bereshit, or Genesis 15, is where we're going. Share my screen here. All right. Starting with verse 1, it says, After these events, the word of Yahuwah came to Abram in a vision, saying, Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward is exceedingly great. And Abram said, Master, Yahuwah. Again, Master Adonai. What would you give me, seeing I go childless, And the heir of my house is Eleazar of Damascus. This is not his son. This is his servant, his slave. Of course, we cringe when we hear the word slave because we know what American slavery has been like. Servitude does not sound like something pleasant. But when you look at it, your children are born into your house. Your biological children, they're there to serve you. You own them in a sense. But let me keep going. And Abram said, see, you have given me no seed. And see, one born in my house is my heir. So Eleazar was born in his house, but he wasn't born in him. And see, the word of Yahuwah came to him, saying, this one is not your heir, but he who comes from your own body is your heir. All right. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. I'm going to jump forward here to Bereshit or Genesis 24 and see. Now, you see that in this situation, his name is Abraham. So it says, and Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yahuwah had blessed Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, that same Eliezer, who ruled over all that he had, man, this dude still acknowledged as his servant, his slave, and he ruled over all he had. He got to have a major love for this one, a trust for him to let him rule over all that he had. I'm going to just do a little rabbit trail, and many know of Pharaoh raising up who? Yosef to be almost equal with him. Yosef was one that was a servant, a prisoner, and then became raised up. But he still was beneath Pharaoh. So there is in the Bible narrative many times that you see servants given so much authority, so much power, unlike what we know of slavery through Roots, the movie, and other stuff like that in American history. So we can't even fathom what the biblical narrative is speaking of far as slavery and servitude. We look at it as just this hard thing or just horrible thing when you see that basically this man ruled over all he had. He said, please put your hand under my thigh. So right now he's finna basically make an agreement or a covenant with this man that is not his blood. It says, so that I may make you swear by Yahuwah, the Elohim of heavens and Elohim of earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. He's trusting him with picking a wife for his son. This man is over his house, and now he's even trusting him with picking a wife for his son. Servitude is not as bad in this narrative as so many have made it to be. Modernly, we see how these other nations have treated us, Israel, Yasharal. But we are not like these other nations. We are more akin and like Yah, and this is how Abraham was able to treat his servant in a way because he's more like Yah. Yah seen this man and considered this man the father of faith. But let me keep going. But to go to my land and to my relatives and take a wife for my son, Yishak. Keep it moving. I'm laying this down for the purpose to show that these strangers and possible servants are not going to be mistreated. That's not the intent. But Yah has established and made forth an order. I'm gonna just take a look, pull away from the text for a minute. Abraham, his wife Sarai or Sarah, called him master, seeing herself as his servant. Is a woman lesser than a man? No. But the order in the role says that he is head over her. We see the battle over and over daily of the matriarch fighting with the patriarch for position. That is happening all the time. Feminism and all this other stuff. But again, the woman is the helpmate of the man. As the man serves Yah, the woman is supposed to serve the man. And so many people are fighting this narrative in that order and saying, well, why I got to serve him? I'm just as smart. I'm just as capable. And it has nothing to do with that. These other nations have been over Israel. If them being over us was the way that it could be, why are we in such I guess disfranchisement or disarray right now? Because they are in charge. Other nations are in charge. They're right now the head. That ain't his order. He set forth Israel or Yasharal to be the head and not the tail. And until that gets restored, the people that he wants in position, things aren't going to get right. And it's time to get right. All right. Let's go. Let's see what his word says. We'll continue. Again, we're about this one nation under Yah. One nation under Yah. So here goes some receipts. Joel 3, starting with verse 1. It's a little bit of reading here. For look, in those days, at that time, when I turn back the captivity of who? Yahuda and Yasharel, or Jerusalem. This ain't all people. This is talking about specific people. Yahuwah's covenant partners, Yahuda and Jerusalem. But Israel. Then I shall gather all nations. But look at it. That's the context. He's turning back the captivity of who? And I shall gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I shall enter into judgment with them there for my people. He's not calling all these nations his people. He's talking about Yahuda and Yasharal as his people. And he gonna judge these other nations for his people. My inheritance, Yisrael, whom they have scattered among the nations, and they have divided up my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a young man for a whore, and sold a girl for wine and drank it. He's talking about this ain't the people that are being saved are Israel, Yasharal. The other nations are the ones being judged. It's Israel that's being saved here that's now finna witness the judging of other nations. But keep it going. Not saying that Israel ain't worthy of judgment. If you obey, you got favor coming your way. If you disobey, you got curses. But keep going, because we disobeying is what got us in this problem anyway. But these other nations, they did not handle us like Yah wanted us to be handled. They abused the authority given them. But keep going. And also, what are you to me, O Zor and Zidon, and all the coasts of Philistia? Are you repaying me? And if you are repaying me, I would swiftly and speedily return your reward on your own head. For you have taken my silver and my gold and brought my treasures into your temples. And the people of Yahuda and the people of Jerusalem you have sold to the sons of Yawan. If you look up Japheth, you'll see Yawan is one of his grandsons, along with Ashkenaz, to remove them far from their borders. See, I am stirring them up out of the place to which you have sold them, and I shall return on your own head what you have done. So what we being in bondage is now going to be turned on to the other nations. It's got to happen. This is his word. But of course, the other nations are going to say, no, you pushing racism, you hate, because they've been the head. It's got to turn. They don't want that to happen. So, of course, they got to make us, they got to trigger us and make us emotional and feel sympathy and empathy for them. They don't want this talked about. They don't want this shared. They want to be included in the salvation. Keep going. And shall sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the people of Yahudah. So they're going to become possessions of who? The people of Yahudah. And they shall sell them to the Shebites, to the nation far off, for Yahuwah has spoken. Proclaim this among the nations. Prepare for battle. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of battle draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. See, a lot of people like to pull that a little bit, that let the weak say I'm strong, but it's got context. Hasten and come, all you nations, and gather together all around. Yahuwah, let your mighty men come down here. Let the nations be aroused and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I shall sit to judge all the nations on every side. Put in the sickle, for the harvest has grown ripe. Come, go down, for the wine press is filled, the vats overflow. For their evil. Who is there? These other nations. Their evil is great. Crowds in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision. Sun and moon shall become dark, and stars shall withdraw their brightness. And Yahuwah shall roar from Zion, and give forth his voice from Jerusalem. And the heavens and earth shall shake, but Yahuwah shall be a refuge for his people. A refuge for all nations? No. A refuge for his people, and a stronghold for the children of Israel. Is this saving all nations? No. But of course, we've been taught salvation is for everyone. Not saying that others can't benefit from the kingdom. I've never said that. But if you read this clearly, be a refuge for his people. Well, I'm his people. I'm a Christian. That's not what it says. Stronghold for the children of Israel. Then you shall know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim, dwelling in Zion, my set apart mountain, and Jerusalem shall be set apart. Who? Jerusalem, that's talking about Israel. And foreigners shall not pass through her again. They're not going to be foreigners no more. They're going to be assimilated. They're going to become possessions. They're not going to be foreigners no more. They have to bow down to. This is not supposed to be something to make somebody feel all buttery smooth and their feelings. Other nations are going to have to bow down. This ain't a nice message. I have relatives, yes, but this is just the truth. The word is the word is the word. People believe the scriptures up into the point that they don't. Keep going. And it shall be in that day that the mountains drip with new wine, and the hills flow with milk. And all the streams of Yahudah shall be flooded with water, and a fountain flow from the house of Yahuwah, and water the Wadi Shittim. Mizraim shall become a ruin. The place, Mizraim, shall become a ruin, and Edom a ruin, a wilderness, because of violence done to the people of Yahudah. It's not violence to all of the nations, it's a violence specifically to Yahudah, whose innocent blood they shed in their land. But Yahudah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem to all generations. Again, Jerusalem is speaking of the capital city of Israel and Yahudah, the kingdom, the total kingdom. It's talking about all, and I shall avenge their blood, which I have not avenged, and Yahuwah shall be dwelling in Zion. His image, his representation, his son, be it Exodus 4:22, his son, as well as Yahusha, will be dwelling in Zion. Let me keep going. Not done. I got a lot to do. A lot to do. All right. Moving on. Amos 3. Hear this word that Yahuwah has spoken against you, O children of Israel. So it's letting you know he's chastening his son. He's checking him, holding him accountable. Hear this word that Yahuwah has spoken against you, O children of Israel. This ain't dealing with the other nations right now. Against the entire clan which I brought up from the land of Mizraim. So he brought up Yahudah, all the whole 12 tribes. And there were other nations of people, other people amongst us that had cleaved to us, but it's focused on us, saying, you alone have I known of all the clans of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for your crookedness. Now there's proverbs out there that show you that a father corrects the son that he loves when he does wrong. So he's going to punish Israel for their crookedness. He ain't talking about the other nations right now. This is talking about Israel, the whole 12 tribes. So let's go. Michelle, or Proverbs 3, because I want to precept that. Verse 12. For whom Yahuwah loves, he reproves, as a father the son whom he delights in. Okay, you can say, oh, that's the Old Testament. That's the Tanakh. Let's go over to the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament. And so I'm gonna start off there. Let me see. I'm gonna start off with verse 5. And it says, and have you forgotten the appeal which speaks to you as to sons? He's talking to who? Israel. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuwah, nor faint when you are reproved by him. Precept of what I just got to read. For whom Yahuwah loves, he disciplines and flogs every son whom he receives. I didn't even have it. I'm going to keep going a little bit. If you endure discipline, Elohim is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom a father does not discipline? But if you are without discipline, of which all have become sharers, then you are illegitimate and not sons. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I might have to stop the screen just so I got stuff underneath the bar. So let me keep going. Right here. I want to identify that Israel is a son. So let's get back to sharing the screen and keep going. So we're going to go over the Shemot. Straight to Shemot. And you got to know where I'm going. If you follow me, you know I'm going to Shemot, or Exodus 4:22. And it says, you shall say to Pharaoh, thus said Yahuwah, Yasharel, or Yisrael, is my son, my firstborn. We just got through talking about he chastening his son, and we identify that Israel is his son. Well, I just showed you in Amos that he said, you the only nation or only clan that I've known. This ain't talking about all the other nations. But yet everybody want to include other nations when Christianity taught us everybody. Everybody. Again, not distancing them, because of course, in obedience, they can cleave to us. But the order, the operation that's set by Yah has Israel being the focus, has Yahudah being the focus of the covenant. Let's keep going. Keep going. I ain't done. Nowhere near done. Let's go with that covenant. Jeremiah 31:31. It says, see, the days are coming. So at the time of Jeremiah, they weren't there, declares Yahuwah, when I shall make a renewed covenant. Of course, we've been taught most time it's a new covenant. But the funny thing about that, the participants didn't change. So if the participants don't change, how in the world can we just think that it's going to be completely everything that was involved in the first covenant is just wiped away completely? But let's read what it says about this renewed or this new covenant. When I shall make a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehuda. I'm going to keep reading. It says, not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I strengthened their hand to bring them out of the land of Mizraim. My covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahuwah. So Yahuwah is claiming to be a husband to them. If he's the husband of them, can't nobody else be their husband. But anyway, for this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yahuwah. I shall put my Torah, my instructions, my laws, in their inward parts. So before they had to seek the laws on paper and everything, but no, now it's going to be in them and write it on their hearts. And I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. It ain't saying that the instructions changed. It's just saying how they got them, how they get them is different. But people want to make it like it's a whole different rule sets. It's, oh, we ain't got to do what he said before. No, his instructions have not changed. Remember, he's one that does not change. He does not lie. His word doesn't come back void. So it's the same instructions. And I no longer shall, and no longer shall they teach. So these things should not have to, when it comes to this point, ain't gonna have to be taught by us. Right now, I'm teaching. If this has manifest, why am I teaching right here? Each one his neighbor. And people always want to put neighbor to be the person next door to them or whatever, but neighbor in the Hebraic sense was only Israel. They neighbored with each other. The other nations around them were not their neighbors. Not at all. Only people that were under the Torah were their neighbor. And each one his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest. But let me skip. I'm gonna keep going because I got even the precept to that. Ibrahim, Hebrews 8. So you see that it's said in what's called the Old Covenant and the New. It ain't changed. Just the delivery system, the way you get it. So here, Hebrews 8 and 8, he said, for finding fault with them, he said, see, the days are coming. Same wording, basically. Verbatim. Says Yahuwah, when I shall conclude with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehuda a renewed covenant. You can say new covenant. I don't care. It still has the same participants. Just like I said, me and my wife are married. My children get a benefit. So everybody that's connected get a benefit. But the relationship is between me and her. Not me and another woman. So not Yah in another nation. You got individuals that can, but the other nations know they have to cleave to Israel and Yahuda to get this benefit. It's not to them. This was not cut with other nations, but other nations will always want to replace us and take the benefits for themselves and eliminate us. They would love to have a relationship with Yah minus us. They say it's insignificant of who the bloodline is. Huh? If the covenant is written with the bloodline, how can the bloodline be insignificant? That doesn't make sense. The parents don't matter. We're going to focus on the children. No, you other nations are our children. And I'm going to show you where he established that order is put in place. Not because we are superior. Ain't no superiority concept being pushed by me. I'm showing you what Yah has said, period. But let me keep going. when I shall conclude with the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda a renewed covenant, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Mizraim. Not talking to other nations, talking to these specific people, because they did not continue in my covenant, and I disregarded them, says Yahuwah. Because this is the covenant that I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahuwah, giving my laws in their mind. And I shall write them on their hearts, no longer on paper, no longer on stone, but in it. And I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall be by no means teach each one. Again, I'm teaching. So where's this at? And again, who is it to? And where's this at? If I'm teaching right now, is it talking about something that's now then? It could be starting now. It can even be reflected a little bit now, but it's not fully manifest now because, again, I'm teaching. And they shall by no means teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah, because they shall all know me. Do we all know him? No. From the least of them to the greatest of them. You got people still out here evangelizing and trying to win souls and stuff like that. If everybody knew him, what's the need of that? Because I shall forgive their unrighteousness. We admit we've been unrighteous, and their sins and their lawlessness I shall no longer remember. Let me see. Let me keep going. I don't want to hang on to moments and stuff like that because again, I do want to get through this. But hopefully you've seen what I'm saying. But let's jump forward. Let's jump forward. I'm gonna go over here to Hazon or Revelations. Revelations 21. Okay, let me see. Starting with verse 10. What's called verse 10. And he carried me away in the Ruach or the Spirit to a great and high mount, and showed me the great city, the set apart Jerusalem. Not talking about Flint, Michigan. Not talking about Detroit. Not talking about Macon, Georgia. Not talking about California, Los Angeles. Set apart Jerusalem. Descending out of the heaven from Elohim. Oh, wow. We just had, not a couple of months ago, people talking about the rapture. They was going to heaven. No, we see that the set apart Jerusalem, the kingdom is coming, descending out of heaven from Elohim. Having the esteem of Elohim, and her light was like a most precious stone, like jasper stone. If you look up jasper, you'll find out that jasper is brown. Clear as crystal, though, but it's brown. Ooh, I'm jasper color. And having a great and high wall, having 12 gates. 12 gates. Not a gate for every nation, but 12 gates. And the gates 12 messengers, and the names written on them, which are those of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Oh, your assembly ain't gonna be on the name. No. Your camp. No. Your church. No, not on none of the gates. It's gonna be the 12 tribes of Israel. You ain't gonna see Japheth. You ain't gonna see Ham name. No. The 12 tribes of Israel. You're not gonna see Edom's name. The 12 tribes of Israel. The same people that the covenant is made to, those gates gonna be named after them. So you can't ignore the bloodline. I get it. All bloodline ain't, you gotta be a remnant of it, or you gotta walk in righteousness and obedience, but still, who do the other nations cleave to? If you take away Israel and Yehuda, other nations ain't got a chance because we are the ones who he set far as the order. And his word does not come back void. So Three gates to the east, three gates on the north, three gates on the south, and three gates on the west. So if you don't have a connection to any of those 12 tribes' names, where's your access point at? You gonna jump the fence? You gonna do like the American border, I guess, huh? No, that ain't gonna work. You're gonna have to be connected and cleave to one of these 12 tribes. Man, I'm gonna finish reading. Three gates on the east, three gates on the north, three gates on the south, and three gates on the west. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 emissaries of the Lamb. Who's the Lamb? Yahusha. With 12 emissaries. The disciples. Emissary. That makes sense to me, but okay, let's keep going. Keep going. All right. Let's keep hitting these receipts. Let's keep hitting these receipts. So right now, I'm jumping over here to Yeshaya, and I still got to just let me just stop my screen. I'm like, I just want 12 gates. Not one of those gates gonna have other nations on it. That needs to be emphasized. When you got these other folks of other nations wanting to make it like the genealogy don't matter and stuff like that. Where did that concept come from? If the genealogy doesn't matter, why does all through the book over and over it keeps running through genealogy? When you get to Yahusha, his genealogy I think is in the book like 3 times. When you look at over and over, you see people's genealogy brought up. Who the son of some begot. If genealogies don't matter, why are they going through all that? When people throw up Paul, but he lets you know that though he was a Roman citizen, that he was a Yahudim, a Benjamite. So his father was a Benjamite. Why is he emphasizing this if it don't matter? It does matter. But yes, of course, your obedience and righteousness matters along with it, but your bloodline does matter because order is set. He set things in motion and said, this people is going to be my nation. This people is going to be my representatives in the earth. But people want to cut the line and say, oh, I can be that. So basically, disregard his will. It's your will be done, not his, huh? That's basically what you're saying. Shanquilla, you wrong. I don't have a problem with being wrong. I'm just going by what the book say. And you fighting with the book. You ain't fighting with me. You fighting with the book. You have a problem with me because I'm saying something that hurts your feelings. But anyway, let me go ahead. Yeah. Let me see. I got a question. When has the whole earth been at rest? Name me a biblical time or a time in history where the whole world has been at rest. I promise. I don't know of a time. Angela, do you know of a time? My wife, I just asked her. She thinking she don't remember a time. But okay, let's get back to the text. Let's get back to the text. I asked that question for a reason. Yeshua, Isaiah 14. Because Yahuwah has compassion on who? Yakub, and shall again choose Yasharal, Israel, and give them rest in their own land. And the strangers shall join them, and they shall cling to the house of Yakub. Israel has not had rest in their own land. Them people that's over there now, what they constantly having issues with the Palestinians. They say that's that. Come on, have they ever been at rest? Them people over there get cancer like a mug over there because of that heat. They ain't native to that land. But keep going. Yeshua, Isaiah 14, and I'm gonna keep going. I already said verse 1. Let's keep going. And the people shall take them and bring them to their own place. Hmm. That's what they tried to say when they created the state of Israel. That's what happened. But come on. They ain't been at rest. And the house of Israel shall possess them for servants. Oh, the same people that bring them to their own place, the house of Israel, shall possess them for servants. Servant slavery. I know that don't mesh easy with slaves. They're gonna be. But again, remember Eliezer. Don't take that word to be so harsh. Remember Eliezer. But and the house of Israel shall possess them for servants and female servants in the land of Yahuwah, and they shall make captives of their captors and rule over their oppressors. Come on, is this a lie? Is this truth? Man, it's offensive to those that are in charge now. They don't want to hear this. They don't want this part to come true. But for it not to come true, that means y'all got to be alive. Remember, I started off, he not a man that he should lie. Okay, what's called verse 3, and it says, and it shall be in the day Yahuwah gives you rest from your sorrow and from your trouble and the hard service in which you were made to serve. Israel was made to serve hard service. That you shall take up this proverb against the sovereign of Babel and say, how the oppressor has ceased, the gold gatherer cease. Yahuwah has broken the staff of the wrong, the scepter of the rulers. He who struck the people in wrath with ceaseless blows, he who ruled the nations in displeasure, is persecuted, and no one restrains. Remember, we was constantly getting beat in bondage. All the earth is at rest. So, hey, these other nations with us, they ain't getting beat. They at rest and at peace. They shall break forth into singing. These folks is going to be happy that we are in charge. Happy to serve. They not going to be like we was. Because hold on, again, we were getting struck in wrath with ceaseless blows by those who ruled over us, the other nations. But again, it says, all the earth is at rest, and they shall break forth into singing. Man, I get it. We have never, as a people, been like these other nations. We are way, 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 way forgiving. Mm-mm. These other nations is even mad that they hate us. They mad at us because they hate us. Come on. I'm like, we love them so much that what? We was mad because they wouldn't serve us at their restaurants. Hey, not considering that, hey, we don't even think they could cook that well, but we want to eat at their restaurant. They could spit in our drink, spit in our food, but we was getting beat to eat at their restaurant. They didn't even want us to drink the same water fountain, but yet they had no problem drinking from the breast of our women. They having their children drink from the breast. We would raise up our women would raise up their children with love. You have a lot of other nations that speak of our grandmothers and our elder women, oh man, that Miss Betty Jean, and they speak very pleasant, even though they don't like Negroes. They don't like Israelites. They don't like us Negus. 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 Not, they don't like us. But they remember how loving our matriarchs were towards them. Oh man. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. I ain't done. Got a while to go. Got some more to go. All right. Sharing my screen again. Back at it. Now this is a touchy word for some. Matthew 15. All right. I'm just going to cherry pick this verse, but go to verse 24 and it says, he answering said, this is Yahusha saying, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. If anybody follows Yahusha, you would see over and over, you can go to John 18:20, that he spoke to the Yahudim mostly. You rarely see him talking to anyone other than other nation. This same woman was basically at him for a while. He was ignoring her, and he finally spoke to her. When he was dealing with Pilate, he wasn't really answering him. He didn't even answer Herod at all. The woman at the well was in Samaria, which used to be the capital city of Yashrael. So she likely was a lost sheep of Israel. This man didn't really talk to anybody else. Yet they want to say he ministered to the world, but the world was his people. It wasn't everybody. He was only sent for the lost sheep of Israel. But yet they say, oh, when he sent his disciples out, his disciples went and he told them, don't go to the land of the Gentiles. What? I get it. They say, well, Paul went to a lot of those Gentile places that Paul went to, you had Yahudim there, or Israelites, people that were bloodline, but they were separated to the other nations. But that ain't where I'm going. I'm going to keep going because that don't matter. The bloodline matters. Let's keep going. All right. Shemot 19. All right. This is setting forth the order. Setting forth the order. This is a important part right here. So let's go. I get it, and I want to clarify something before I leave that. That woman was able to access Yahusha through faith and obedience. Faith and obedience. Other nations can access and cleave through faith and obedience. No one has ever heard me say that the other nations can't benefit from this covenant. I keep saying it, but they got to do it through faith and obedience. They have to cleave. They can't just do their own thing. They can't do what their nations do. No, they can't do it their way. It's not Burger King. They can't have it their way. Shemot, let's see the order. Exodus 19 of Shemot. I'm going to start here at verse 4. You have seen what I did to the Mizrahites, to Egypt, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Who did he bring to himself? His people, Israel. And now, if you diligently obey my voice, so it is required that we obey Israel, Yahudah, and shall guard my covenant, the covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession. He's calling them his treasure above all the peoples. So above all other nations. It ain't that we ain't superior, but of course, what did Yah say? He said that we are his treasured possession above all peoples. There's nothing about us that's making us. This is because he said it. For all the earth is mine. He's saying all the earth is his. Everybody's his. But we're going to be his treasured possession above all people. So he set us above. Just like he made the order with man, he put the man above the woman. Not saying that the man is greater than the woman, superior to the woman, but he set that order. Just like the man and woman is over the children. I think he loves the children more than he loved the man and woman, but again, order. I think that he loves women more than he loves men, but again, order. Women get a covering of a husband and they get the covering of Yah. They double cover. Man, he basically a Yah and on his own. Because a lot of times our brothers ain't even keeping us like it's supposed to. But anyway, let me keep going. And you shall be a reign of priests. So, excuse me, Yahuwah is the king, and Israel is going to be a reign of priests. They're going to rule with him. Rule what? If everybody can rule, what are you ruling? If everybody was on par equal, if there was no hierarchy, what are you ruling? But he's going to have his ruling class with Israel, a reign of priests. That means they servants to him. And guess what? It bothers people when I say it, but yeah, the priests have a hierarchy even within their own ranks. So who's over the priests? The big kahuna, the high priest. So Yahusha is the high priest. He's not king. He's actually the son of the most. So he's a prince, but he's not the king because the king is Yahuwah. But anyway, and you shall be to me a reign of priests and a set apart nation. Set apart nation. So you got nations, and this one nation is set apart. You got the name set apart. You can't ignore that. Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Israel. This is Yah's will, his word, himself. But yet, not people want to argue with it and say, oh man, that's racism. I don't even really consider us race. We're a nation. But okay, let's keep going. Hazan, Revelation 7. And I want to show you again. Order of operations. And after this, I saw four messengers standing at the four corners of earth. I'm a flat earther, so that four corners of earth fits for me. But anyway, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to the four messengers, to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim, the servants, the slaves of our Elohim upon their foreheads. I know we sons, but we started off as servants. Anyway, keep on. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed out of all the tribes of Israel. I just got through dealing with the royal priesthood, the hierarchy, those that were ruled. And that's what this royal priesthood, I believe, is this 144,000. Those are the ruling class of the children of Israel. Of the tribe of Yehuda, 12,000 were sealed. And see, you can see of all the different tribes, I'm going to skip down, of all the different tribes, the gates, you have 12,000. That makes up 12 times 12,000, 144,000. But when you get past that, get past Benjamin, the last tribe, it says, and after this, I looked and saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count, out of all nations and tribes. So you could say out of all nations, you could say, okay, this is those separated to different nations, but it makes sure to say and tribes and peoples and tongues standing before the throne and before the Lamb. So again, get this too, standing before the throne and the Lamb. Not the Lamb on the throne, but the Lamb and the throne. Get it? The king and his prince right next to him. Just like when Stephen looked up, he seen Yahusha standing next to the throne. But anyway, who's on the throne? But yeah, but dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, Deliverance belongs to our Elohim who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. The Elohim on the throne and the Lamb, his son, next to him. Let me keep going. Not the same. Not the same. All right. And the messenger stood around the throne, and the elders, again, hierarchy, elders and the four living creatures, and fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped Elohim. Not worshiped the Lamb, but they worshiped Elohim, saying, the blessing or the favor, so be it, the favor and the esteem and the wisdom and the thanksgiving and the respect and the power and the might to our Elohim forever and ever. So be it. And one of the elders responded, saying to me, Who are these dressed in white robes, and where have they come? I said, Master, that right there. I guess my point. I put this down in my notes because I want to identify, having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb, is still showing that the Lamb and the one on the throne is two distinct individuals. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. Oh boy. Going over here, going back to Yeshayah, because I'm still hitting. Yeshayah 61. So it says, Isaiah 61, the Ruach, the spirit of the master, Yahuwah, the master, Adonai, Yahuwah, is upon me, because Yahuwah has anointed me to bring good news. What is good news? Many would call it the gospel. I don't like that word, the gospel, because that word gospel means God spell. But it's Basora, but this word right here, or is Basar, but they connected, Basora and Basar. Glad tidings. To the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives. Who's been captive? Israel. Other nations, we've been dispersed and we've been captive in these other nations. This is not about the other nations, peoples, but us. And the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuwah and the day of vengeance of our Elohim. Vengeance for what? To comfort all who mourn, to appoint unto those who mourn in Zion, to give them embellishment for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit or ruach of heaviness, and they shall be called trees of righteousness, a planting of Yahuwah to be adorned. And they shall rebuild the old ruins, raise up the former wastes, and they shall restore the ruined cities and the waste of many generations. Who is this they? It don't sound like it's talking about everybody. It's talking about a certain they. But then, okay, check it out. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks. So if it's talking about everybody, where strangers come from? And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks. And the sons of the foreigner, how you gonna have a foreigner if it's all nations are one? If the genealogy don't matter, and the strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of foreigners be your plowmen and your wine dressers. It's saying these strangers and these foreigners gonna work for you, work for these people. Who is these people? But you shall be called what? Priest of Yahuwah. Exodus 19:4, 5 through 6 said, who did he set for his priests? Oh, Yasharal and Yahuda, or all other nations? So these strangers, these foreigners, are going to serve in under the hierarchy of you shall be called, but you shall be called priest of Yahuwah. servants of our Elohim shall be said of you. So the servants of Yahuwah are going to have servants, a hierarchy, a order. That egalitarian stuff is that's nonsense. Just like the woman is helpmeet to her husband, say the priests are the husband, and they're going to have helpmeets. You shall consume the strength of the nations and boast in their esteem. Instead of your shame and reproach, they rejoice a second time in their portion. Therefore, they take possession a second time in their land. Everlasting joy is theirs. Israel is the royal priest, not other nations. Israel and Yahudah, 12 tribes, are supposed to be the royal priests. Now, people say, oh, well, the Melchizedek, priesthood. Okay, I hear that. Oh, the Levites, priesthood. No. Exodus 19, 4-6 says that he desired for all of Israel. That was his original plan. Not that it just be Melchizedek, not that it just be the Levites, but the original plan was that it be all of Israel that obeys him. Let's keep going, though, because I got something again. And I'm in Yeshayah. I'm going to hit a precept. A precept. Let's go over here to Yeshayah, Isaiah 66. And we're going to start off with verse 18. And it says, and I, because of their works and their imaginations of coming to gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my esteem. So this is everybody's being gathered. And I shall set a sign among them, and shall send some of those who escape to the nations, Tarshish, and Pool, and Lud, and draw the bow, and Tubal, and Yawan. Remember, we mentioned Yawan earlier. These are the Yawan, Yapheth. I think it doesn't Japheth dwell in the tents of Shem, but let me keep it. The coastlands are far off, who have not heard my report nor seen my esteem, and they shall declare my esteem among the nations. Among the nations. Okay, I was going to put an all in there. I don't want to add. And they shall bring all your brothers. Again, he mentioned these other nations, but he said all your brothers. Whose brothers? He's talking about the Israelites. And they shall bring all your brothers as an offering to Yahuwah out of all the nations. We dispersed in all the nations, but we're going to be brought back as an offering to Yahuwah out of all nations, on horses and on chariots and in litters. So vehicles we're going to travel us by whatever means, vehicles, whatever, on mules and on camels to my set apart mountain, Jerusalem, declares Yahuwah, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Yahuwah. So again, when we are obedient, we will be the clean vessels. We will be the offering brought in clean vessels. So it's necessary that we not just be bloodline, but we have to be in obedience. We have to be walking as a clean vessel. So look, and from them, remember, I just up there it says, bring all your brothers. So all of the nation of Israel, Yahudah and all that, and from them I shall take for priests. So again, royal priesthood is going to come out of Israel and the Yahudim. For Levites, declares Yahuwah. So you're going to have even Israelites and Yahudim that are under the authority of the rank and file leaders, the hierarchy. You're going to have a set division and hierarchy in place, and you're going to have other Israelites and Yahudim that are not in that hierarchy, and other people of other nations. All of them all going to have to be obedient to Yah. All right. For as the new heavens and the new earth that I make stand before me. So this is not something that has happened. You're going to have a new heavens and new earth made before me, declares Yahweh. So your seed and your name shall stand. So the name of Israel and Yahudah is going to stand. You ain't gonna be able to replace it with Christianity, with church. You ain't gonna be able to replace it with assembly names. You ain't gonna have UICI, whatever, United in Christ, whatever. You're not gonna have that camp. You're not gonna have, you know, what what's TD Jakes church or whatever. The whatever it is. I don't, but you're not gonna have that. Those names ain't gonna mean nothing. Assembly name ain't gonna mean nothing. Camp name ain't gonna mean nothing. What's gonna matter is the name of Yasharal and Yahudah. That's what's gonna matter. In the name of Yahuwah. Even the names of these other nations ain't gonna matter. Because they're gonna have stamped on them. Possession. All that stuff ain't gonna matter. And they're gonna be joyful in that. And it says, and it shall be from new moon to new moon, and from Sabbath to Sabbath. So the Sabbath still gonna be in place. The new months gonna still be in place. All flesh shall come to worship before me. All flesh. They're not gonna have other nations' names on it. They're gonna be cleaving, connected to this kingdom, declares Yahuwah. And they shall go forth and look upon the corpses of men who have transgressed against me. So they're gonna have an example of what happens to those that go against it, right there for them to see. For their worm shall not die, and their fire not be quenched, and they shall be repulsive to all flesh. It's hard for people to get it, but one nation under Yah. In Genesis, the whole dynamic was he was setting forth his example of what the Shamayim is like on earth. He had a man as his representative. He still was the one that ran everything or was over everything, but that man would be the one, the representative of dominion on earth, his will being done on earth as it is in the Shamayim. We're going to see that same thing when it all is done. That kingdom is coming down, and this earth is going to be ruled by his sons. He calls Israel one son. Exodus 4:22. Israel, the whole nation, is one son. The head of that son, I proclaim, is Yahusha. You may not agree. So be it. Fine with me. But I've given you text after text. Other nations gonna have to bow down. That I guess that don't sound nice. Why do you have to be babied and coddled to accept truth? We didn't have to do that. We were forced to accept whatever was said by our masters. I'm like, this is what it is. And again, I tell my children a lot of things straight up. Don't mean I don't love them. Y'all gonna have to be able to take what's been told to you and what's there in the word and not fight against it, because you ain't fighting against me. You fighting against Yah. So Abiyah, thank you for the Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity to minister. May this word be edification to the listener. May those that want to share constructive criticism do so, but always in the respect. No name calling, no insults. We can dialogue and we can reason the text always, because it's always to the glory and honor of Yahuwah. May Yah's will be done. May this Shabbat be about rest and restoration till the kingdom comes back into place. Thank you. Shankuya, One Vision Ministry, Shabbat Shalom, and Yada Yahuwah. Let me mhm, 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 close it out as I start. Hey, for not being using it in a couple of weeks, that wasn't bad. All right, Shabbat Shalom and Ahava to Yah, Ahava to the Mishpah. Shabbat Shalom.